Thank you, Michka Tosan from KUKA, an Automate Education Pavilion sponsor, for joining us to talk about the Pavilion and automation education in general. So right off the gate, let's talk about the Education Pavilion. KUKA, of course, is sponsoring the Education Pavilion this year, Automate 2024. Can you just tell us a little bit about why you're excited about that, why KUKA is excited to be involved with that this year?
Of course. So KUKA has been around for over 125 years in the business of automation. We weren't always in the field of robotics, but over the last 20, 30 years, robotics has really taken off as a huge factor in the marketplace. And so one of the things that KUKA is excited about is seeing how the future generations are going to improve the current solutions that are in the market, as well as develop new ways of handling current problem sets that we often run into when adding automation to unique fields of business, such as medical or healthcare or warehouse management. So we're kind of shifting our focus a little bit, not so much away from KUKA as a solution. We still are that very much in the field of automation, but we also want to highlight another piece of the puzzle for KUKA, which is, being a part of the educational side of the business and being a key kind of supporter of new and upcoming solutions, technologies, applications that are important.
Excellent. And can you just talk a little bit more about KUKA and your passion for education and focusing on that in this industry?
Yeah, education regarding universities or even our own education tactics with the KUKA College that we have initiated at KUKA to help people or companies get involved in better adapting to using new technology like our latest software suites or simulation topics and things like that has been a big part of our push over the last few years. KUKA has always been a part of education. We've always partnered heavily with, research and development at different universities in the States or even globally. We're a German company, so we do a lot with universities out of Germany.
Perfect. Now let's talk a little bit about the audience and who we'd love to see there. Who should make visiting the Education Pavilion a priority?
Everyone. No, honestly, though, it's going to be an area that KUKA has partnered with a couple different spots to highlight some different aspects of automation, but just in general as well, it's a good opportunity to connect with universities and see what is going to be a focus in 2024 and 2025 for research or development projects or partnerships. You might know this already, but often in at least healthcare, for example, what you see in the industry is something that's been around in academia for about 5 to 10 years. So if you're thinking what kind of investments or what kind of technology could be leveraged in 5 years, the best place to find it is in things like the Education Pavilion.
Yeah. What advice would you give to educators looking to engage with the next generation more effectively in automation and robotics?
So the conversations that we've been having with educators kind of goes in two different directions. So for the first one, KUKA offers, a really helpful coursework for our education platforms, which lets you get started down like a undergraduate track really easily. You kind of can have a core cart option, and then you have this education coursework that you can apply to your program and get it up and running quickly. But then we also have, these capabilities of doing like real-time communication with different robotic solutions for doing like more of the R&D testing that you would see for some more situations where you might want to test the boundaries of some technology. So those are kind of like the two ways that when you're approaching it from an educator standpoint.
And now, obviously you're a leader in the industry. So what advice would you give to other companies about how to look at that next generation or the current generation of workforce and how to upskill or give them the skills they need to join their team?
So I remember graduating from a university about 7 years. I went to Mercer University. It's a small private school out of Georgia. And I had taken one robotics class in my master's program. But I remember almost every company that I interviewed with wanted a large amount of experience, which was always the, what do they call it? The chicken and the egg problem. Which one came first? You need kind of both in some sense. So it was challenging when I was doing a lot of those interviews. KUKA was kind enough to give me an opportunity. It was my second job out of school. But one of the things that I learned through that process is what to look for and what to be okay with not getting in a new employee. And I think companies have to learn that process. They need to learn what it is they need to look for, not just experience, but also skill sets. And be okay with not getting exactly what it is that they want, and be capable of training those non-essentials, I would call them. When you think about automation, it's like any part of life, it's very relational. You need to learn and continue learning. And so a lot of these conversations you're having with educators or students need to go both ways. You're going to be giving them some skills, and they are going to be giving you some skills. So I think that's an important aspect.
That's so cool. Thank you for sharing your personal story with that. Totally agree. Mutually beneficial, right? Okay, let's transition a little bit here. Talk about our relationship, A3 and KUKA. How crucial is collaboration between all of these stakeholders, industry, educational institutions, and then associations like us, A3?
Over the years, I've seen, how association like A3 can kind of bridge the gap when you don't know who to talk to or where to go. And that's definitely one of the key factors that makes these type of partnerships and relationships just fundamental to being a success in the market.
Excellent. We love that. Okay, so we've mentioned this very briefly, but the technology is changing. There's a lot of new trends, new technologies. In your opinion, what are some of those upcoming trends or changes we can expect, maybe specifically in automation education, and how might these impact the educators and the students and the companies?
We've partnered with different universities where we try to support senior design projects. And I think senior design projects are really unique because they kind of are the middle ground where you have maybe people learning how to use robotics or automation, and you have people who are really in depth looking at 5-10 years down the map in certain research labs across the globe. You have the senior design projects, which are kind of like in the middle. And what I've noticed in some of those is they're really focused over the last year or two have been warehouse solutions. How do you get AGVs into working with the normal automation that exists already in warehouses, as well as in automotives with all the increase in, battery cell development and production. And all of that is, connectivity. About 5 years ago, IoT was a really big concept, Internet of Things. I think that still has room to grow and some improvements to make it feasible for a lot of companies. And a lot of companies have already used it, but I think the direction that it needs to grow is that observability aspect, which is basically I'm a CEO or I'm a maintenance guy. I need a dashboard to be able to figure out what to do when I'm thinking about preventative maintenance, or I'm thinking about presenting to my board on how productive we've been over the last quarter. You need to be able to quickly see those things and connect them to things like robotics or different automation solutions you have in your production environments or warehouses and things like that. So those are the two that I see being heavily invested in the next couple of years, is the AGV side of things and, mobility side of things, and then as well as logistics, observability and things like that.
I love that. Thank you so much. We're going to end on the last and easy, fun question. You've been to Automate before. Just thinking back, what do you love about coming to Automate, and why are you excited to be at Automate in Chicago this year?
Automate is an extremely diverse show. The conference, I think, side of things where you get to see people present is always interesting. You get to hear different voices, learn some new things. That is always a benefit when you're in the industry, to just think about what other people have to say about common threads and things that you might be experiencing in a week-to-week or month-to-month standpoint. But I also really enjoy meeting new people, connecting with new companies who are trying to solve different problems.
You can see KUKA and so many more amazing companies at the Education Pavilion at Automate 2024.